I splashed through the water until it was waist deep and swam the last bit. I tried to keep my phone out of the water doing an awkward one-armed stroke and kicking hard with my legs. The boat was farther out than I'd originally thought. It tilted up a bit, but I managed to catch the rope ladder and scramble up. As I boarded, a wave smacked the boat. It knocked me off my feet, and I landed on my rear end, jolting every bone in my body. My phone flew out of my hand. I grabbed at it in midair, but missed. A plop sounded in the water. No, no, no. The boat righted itself, and I slid across the deck. My shoulder slammed into the side of the boat. Ouch! I gritted my teeth together. Another bounce, and it tipped precariously away from the sandbar. I clutched the side, managed to stay on the deck, and clung. The crying got louder, but now it didn't sound as much like a baby as it had from the shore. An animal, perhaps? The boat began to move away from the shore and out to sea. What had I done? Chapter 2. Help! I yelled toward the shore, but the fog wrapped around my words and muffled them. No one yelled back. The boat moved quickly, probably caught up in a rip current. I eyed what bit of water I could see through the fog. Jumping in and trying to swim out of the current didn't seem smart, even though I was an excellent swimmer. I could become disoriented in the fog. The boat lurched in the waves. If I jumped, I couldn't be sure the boat wouldn't change direction and run me down. The only thing worse than jumping in would be being tossed overboard. The boat tipped and tilted like the carnival rides I loved as a kid. Then there was the cry to think of. I couldn't abandon a baby if there was one. Moving would be perilous, but not moving wasn't an option. A door that must lead to the cabin below banged open and closed with the motion of the waves. I eyed the distance. Standing would be foolish, but maybe I could slide over on my stomach. A wave pitched. I let loose. For a second, I thought I was going in, but the boat rocked the other way. I took advantage and slid and scooted to the door. It banged shut behind me as I rolled down 5 steps, landing on the floor of the interior. It took a minute for my eyes to adjust to the dim light that came through narrow, rectangular windows. I was in a living room, dining room, kitchen combo. The boat was a mess, with trash and clothing on the floor. The cry came from a room to my left. I stood and careened toward a door, staggering worse than any drunk I'd ever seen. I pushed on the partially opened door. A gray cat with long white socks leaped off a bed and into my arms. Not a baby, then. A cat. The boat pitched, and we landed on the bed. I rubbed my cheek against the cat's head. So you're the one who caused me all this trouble? If not for the cry, I'd still be on shore. And my phone wouldn't be dead in the water, literally. The cat purred and settled into my arms. The prudent thing seemed to try to wait out the waves down here now. My stomach started to feel a little woozy, even though I'd never been seasick before. I closed my eyes and tried to calm my breathing and heart rate. Both were banging along in double time. How did you end up on this boat? Maybe the poor thing had climbed aboard when the boat was on shore. The door could have slammed shut when the boat was being flung around as it went back into the Gulf. The cat continued purring. Anyone else here? No response. This room was a mess, too, as if someone had tossed it, or the boat had been whipped around by the Gulf for a long time. Clothes, bedding, and shoes were strewn everywhere. I hoped we'd be out of the riptide soon. Most riptides only went out about 20 feet. I prayed that's all this was. Besides, Dolores would have people looking for me. I hoped the waves wouldn't obscure where the boat had disturbed the sand. Maybe my phone would wash up on shore, and someone would spot it, or my shoes. I wouldn't think about a scenario where none of those things happened and everyone assumed I'd gone home or continued my run. In that case, it would take hours for someone to realize I was missing. I talked to the cat until I ran out of things to say, trying to keep my mind off the dire situation we were in. We continued to be bounced and pitched at the whims of the Gulf. Down here, the boat creaked and groaned like banshees had